Welcome to Mr. Foy's Easel. Today I'm going to be focusing on frogs. Toadsuck days occurred recently, and I'm not sure what the difference between toads and frogs are, but let's just say my critters are cousins of the toads, so I have a lot in common, I think, with the toads. The frogs that I'm going to be drawing, sometimes they're doing something, something active, but they're just as likely to be commenting on what's going on with other critters. Starting out, we have a frog and his friend, some kind of bird, and notice the expression on the bird's face. It looks like he's not feeling too well, and I'll read you what he's saying. I tell you, Ernest, I got to either get rid of this cold or, now the dots you see there indicate that he hasn't completed the thought. And his friend Ernest, the frog, says, or what, Elwood? And then what happens? Elwood has one of the biggest sneezes, achoo, that anybody ever had. Look at his cap and look at other things in the picture. Then, after the big sneeze, Elwood is standing there. He says, or tighten up my feathers. And you can see the sneeze was so tremendous, it caused him to lose most of his, if not all of his feathers. Let's look at another frog, or it might be the same one, who is the one that's not feeling too good. In fact, he's feeling so bad that he went to the doctor. And here we find him sitting on the table there, the kind that you see in most doctors' examining rooms. And again, we have a bird I'll show you in a minute. The bird is the doctor. And you know, in old-time comic books, we had doctors with a kind of a glass like that. And this doctor is getting set to go on with his examination. He's got a stethoscope, as you can see. And he's telling Ernest, or whatever the frog's name is, that he's going to check him out. Well, he put the stethoscope on the frog's chest, and look what happened. I'll show you the expression on the bird's face. To give you an idea of what this is how this is going to turn out. Sometimes stethoscopes are a little bit cold to the skin, and that was true in this case. The frog says, yow. And I can't draw him because he's just clear out of the picture. And then after he landed over in the corner of the examining room, as you can see here, he says, sorry, Duck, guess I'm just a little jumpy today. Next we go to a frog and a snake. I'll start with the snake. You know, in cartoons, animals, birds, and all sorts of critters do human things, you know, like a doctor, a bird that's a doctor. Well, in sports, that's as true as it is of various professions. And here's a snake that's got a basketball, and he's getting ready to try to make a basket. Notice he's got his snaky body wrapped around the basketball, and he's taking a look at that basket up there, goal, getting ready to shoot. And then look what happens. His opponent, the frog, leaps up and blocks the shot. And then afterwards, the snake leaves the scene, and he's got a thought balloon, as you can see, and he's thinking, frogs never should be allowed near the backboards. Well, let's take a little break, and then we'll come back and look at some more frogs and their friends.
Home security is now available through Conway Corp. It's an advanced solution backed by people you know and trust. Customize your system with motion detectors, sensors, light controls, and more, all managed from your wireless touchscreen or mobile phone. It's an easy way to protect the things that matter and the ones who matter most. It's safety for you, powered by Conway Corp.
All right, now we've got a frog and one of his swamp buddies or creek buddies, a fish. The frog's sitting on a pad, excuse me, and the fish is speaking. He says, "I'm no braggart, but I'm here to tell you I can outswim any fish in this river." You know what a braggart is? It's somebody that boasts of his accomplishments. And next panel we see the fish is still talking. He's not in the picture, of course, but the frog is, and notice his expression. The fish says, "Man, you talk about stamina. One summer day I hauled off and swam 32 miles, and why, I swam clean through a tidal wave one time." And the frog has had enough of this bragging, and so he leaves the scene, as you can tell, and he's thinking, "I ate a big mouth bass." And so there we have a frog and another one of his acquaintances. In the next scene, we have two frogs out in a edge of a creek, and they're observing another critter and expressing their opinion of that critter, which, by the way, is a heron or a stilt bird. I don't know. It's one of those long-legged birds who's kind of taking it easy, just a short distance from them. Anyway, I'm not going to try to determine what the kind of bird it is, but it's one of those that has a habit of holding one leg up like that and balancing on the other one. Let's let this be a creek with some shrubbery and so on around it. And the frog here on the left says something like, "Those birds are really balanced and poised. And his buddy says, he agrees with him. He says, "Yep." And then the next thing we have is this other frog says, "How can those guys," meaning birds, "balance on one leg like that?" The other one doesn't answer, but in the next panel, we see a close-up of the bird, and he has this kind of expression on his face. With question marks like that. And these frogs have a surprised look on their faces. And the reason? I don't have to draw the bird, I just have to show you what happened. I'll write the sound of it. Shouldn't have to explain a comic strip, but I'll do it this time. The bird was perfectly able to keep on balancing until he, shall we say, stopped to think about it. Well, we've had the frog with a couple of birds and with a snake, and now we're going to have a frog and a bug. By the way, these cartoons are taken from a comic strip that I took part in quite a while ago. It was called Bugs and Birds. And so it seems appropriate to have a bug somewhere in the mix. We start out with the bug flying around, and as you can tell from the thought balloon, he has had some tonic which he feels has given him plenty of power. So he's feeling his strength, you see. And he flies over where a frog is lurking, and this, you know that frogs are noted for liking bugs and other critters like that. This frog is thinking that if that bug dips a bit lower, I'll grab him for lunch. And notice that he does just that. He's thinking, "Ha, I got him. See the long tongue?" Which is an exaggeration, of course. But look what happened. The bug's tonic made him so strong that, well, there you have it. The frog is getting you might say, a free ride. Well, that about does it for Frog Tales today. Remember, you can contact Mr. Foy's Easel at conwaycorp.com.